Picture this for a second. You're sitting in a meeting room, or maybe, you're waiting for a big interview to start. People are just casually chatting, scrolling on their phones, barely even paying attention to each other. And then the door opens. Someone walks in. And they don't make some grand theatrical entrance, right? They aren't talking loudly. They definitely aren't wearing the most expensive clothes in the room. But almost instantly, everyone notices them. Conversations just kind of pause, heads turn, the entire energy of the room suddenly shifts. And the crazy thing is, before this person has said a single word, nearly everyone has already formed this highly favorable opinion of them.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What exactly is it about certain people that lets them command respect the very second they walk through a door? Is it just having a ton of money? Is it their looks? Or, maybe it's their job title or some kind of power? Well, as we're going to see in our explainer today, it's actually none of those things. It is something way deeper. What you were witnessing in that moment is an automatic, ancient, evolutionary system firing off deep inside our brains.
Chapter 1. The Silent Entrance.
Okay, let's dive into this. I want to introduce you to Arjun. He's a young software engineer on his absolute first day at a new company. And like a lot of us, Arjun kind of believes that respect is something you can only earn after months and months of grueling heads-down hard work. So he walks into the office just trying to blend in, but he's unknowingly broadcasting all this uncertainty. He's slightly hunched over, his eyes stay glued to the floor, and he really hesitates to share his ideas. Well, weeks go by, and despite being incredibly talented, very few people actually even notice him. But then a new manager named Ria joins the team. Now, Ria isn't the oldest person there, and she certainly isn't the CEO. Yet within minutes, people just naturally begin listening to her. Why? Well, notice her natural authority. She arrives a little early, she stands comfortably instead of fidgeting around, she looks people right in the eye, smiles genuinely, and speaks at a nice measured pace. The contrast is literally night and day. She naturally draws everyone's attention without ever having to demand it.
So this brings up a really fascinating question. Why does everyone instantly respect Ria, but completely overlook Arjun? Why on earth does the human brain judge people so incredibly quickly based on just a few silent moments? To really get this, we have to take a look back at the evolutionary science that shaped us.
Psychologists refer to this as the first impression effect. Basically, it's the brain's automatic system for rapidly evaluating the people around us. You see, thousands of years ago, quickly categorizing people wasn't just some nice social skill, it was absolutely crucial for survival. Quickly deciding if someone was a friend, a strong leader, or a dangerous threat could literally mean the difference between life and death. And today, that exact same ancient system is still running in the background every single time we meet someone new. The kicker? Once this first impression is formed, it is incredibly hard to shake.
Ultimately, your brain is a giant prediction engine. It is just constantly making predictions about people. Within a few seconds of seeing someone, your mind has already started judging whether they seem confident, competent, or just totally uncertain. And it's really important to understand that the brain doesn't judge out of malice or cruelty. It does this because it's constantly scanning and predicting outcomes based on nonverbal cues, all just to keep you safe and socially secure.
Now, what's really interesting about this is what Arjun realizes as he watches Ria. It hits him. Respect isn't coming from her authority at all. It's coming entirely from the signals her behavior sends. Research consistently shows us that people don't evaluate confidence using words alone. Appearing confident is not the same thing as pretending to be superior or dominating everyone else. Genuine confidence simply comes from being totally comfortable with yourself.
Chapter 2. The Broken Projector. So a month into Ria's time at the company, they're in a massively important office presentation, and the absolute worst happens. The projector just abruptly dies. Instantly panic sets in. People start blaming the equipment, talking over one another. The anxiety in that room just skyrockets. But notice Ria's intervention here. She quietly walks to the front, smiles, and simply says, "Hey, let's just continue without the slides for now." That's it. She doesn't raise her voice, she doesn't aggressively demand silence, she simply remains entirely calm, and the entire room immediately settles right down.
It's such a simple action, right? But it creates this profound shift. Why do we instinctively trust the calmest person in the room? Really think about the psychology happening here. Why did Ria's simple lack of panic instantly settle down an entire room full of anxious professionals?
And this brilliantly illustrates the power of emotional regulation. This basically means remaining composed during times of intense uncertainty. When things go completely wrong, human beings naturally look toward whoever is keeping their cool. Calmness quietly signals to everyone else's primitive brain that, hey, this person is highly capable of handling challenges. And when you show that kind of capability, it naturally and immediately increases trust and respect from everyone around you. Chapter 3. The Halo Effect.
So Ria's behavior during that whole projector incident didn't just solve a tech issue, it created this massive psychological ripple effect throughout the entire office. You really have to ask yourself, how does one calm moment make you seem smarter? Why does the brain leap to the wild assumption that someone who didn't panic over a broken piece of tech must also be highly intelligent, incredibly organized, and a super hard worker?
Well, the answer is the halo effect. This is the tendency for our brains to take one positive characteristic and just extend it to other completely unrelated traits. Because Ria showed calm confidence, everyone's brain automatically assumed she was brilliant in literally every other aspect of her job. A single strong positive signal can favorably influence how people interpret absolutely everything else you do. Now, of course, appearances aren't everything. Real respect must ultimately be sustained by continuous actions, or that halo is going to fade pretty fast.
Chapter 4. Arjun's Transformation.
Let's move to and see how this builds. Because Arjun, having watched Ria and understood all this underlying psychology of the first impression and halo effects, decides to run a little experiment on his own life. He completely drops his old imposter behaviors. Instead of speaking super fast because he's nervous or desperately trying to sound smarter than he is, he prepares thoroughly before meetings so he actually knows his material cold. He slows his speaking pace way down, maintains comfortable eye contact, and just stops trying to impress everyone. And amazingly, people actually start asking for his opinion. His external signals finally matched the internal competence he had all along.
Chapter 5. How to Command Respect. So the crucial point is how we can actually use this. Let's translate everything we've just learned from Arjun and Ria into a science-backed toolkit you can use every single time you walk into a room. Number 1, prepare thoroughly. When you genuinely know your stuff, you don't have to pretend. Number 2, use comfortable body language. Stand tall, take your space, and don't rush your words. Number 3, listen way more than you speak. People deeply respect those who make them feel heard. Number 4, stay calm under pressure. Because true confidence shines brightest during difficulty, not just when things are going perfectly smooth. And finally, number 5, show sincere respect to others.
And that last point is absolutely crucial. Confidence without kindness often just feels like arrogance. But confidence with humility, that creates trust. It is a profound irony of human psychology that one of the absolute fastest ways to earn respect from a room full of people is simply by giving it sincerely to others first.
Ultimately, commanding a room isn't about the designer clothes you wear, the luck you have, or the fancy title on your business card. It's about those hundreds of tiny, silent psychological signals quietly declaring to the room, "You can trust me." That is, without a doubt, the absolute most powerful signal a human being can send. The people who command the most respect aren't the loudest and they aren't the richest. They are simply the ones whose actions communicate unshakable trustworthiness.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final thought to really chew on. Think about your own body language today. Think about your eye contact, your pace of speech. What hidden signals are you sending when you walk into a room? Do they reflect the capable, competent person you truly are? Take these psychological tools, practice them, and let your external signals finally match your internal worth. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Until next time, stay curious.